Very good evening and welcome to News at 6 on Rajya Sabha TV. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the latest headlines. Parliament adjourned a sine die for winter session. Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari expresses anguish over disruptions during the session. Lok Sabha sees the passage of Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill. Supreme Court refuses to extend the use of demonetized notes in government utility centres, exhorts government to fulfil its commitment to allow withdrawals of 24,000 rupees per week. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges nation to embrace digital payment methods to root out corruption and black money, tells BJP MPs that his predecessor Dr. Manmohan Singh and Indira Gandhi ignored basic steps to fight corruption. And Congress delegation led by Rahul Gandhi meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi to demand debt relief for farmers. Opposition parties call on President to apprise him about the problems faced by the public due to demonetization. Samajwadi Party, BSP and left parties skip meeting. Well, the 241st session of the Rajya Sabha came to a close on Friday. The House sat for more than 22 hours but could pass only one bill as the standoff between the government and the opposition on various issues led to several disruptions.
The 241st session of the Rajya Sabha commenced on November 16th. The session had 21 sittings in all. However, more than 86 hours were lost due to disruptions on the issue of demonetization. Other issues too caused disruptions, including constitution of the Kaveri Management Board, protection of Tamil Nadu fishermen from firing by the Sri Lankan Navy, and disinvestment of the Salem steel plant. Only one bill, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, stipulating punishment for discrimination against differently able people, was passed by the House. No private members' bills or resolutions could be discussed, except introduction of 12 private members' bills.
The 241st session of the Rajya Sabha that commenced on 16th November comes to a close today. The Secretary General will make available to the honourable members the relevant statistical data. The House functioned on the first day of the session and had a useful discussion on demonetization on November 16 and on November 24, which remained inconclusive. The House also passed on December 14 the Right of Persons with Disabilities Bill 2014. I thank the Deputy Chairman, the members of the panel of Vice Chairman, and the officers and staff of the Secretariat for their help and cooperation.
14 members took part in the discussion on demonetization under Rule 267 on the first day of the session. The discussion lasted for more than 6 hours but remained inconclusive. During the session, 116 reports and statements of various parliamentary committees were presented to the House. Only 3 matters of public importance could be raised with the permission of the chair, and only one special mention could be laid. 330 start questions and 3,517 unstart questions were admitted and answered. However, only 2 start questions could be answered orally. The House also made arbitrary references to the passing away of J. Jayalalitha and 13 former members. Homage was also made to the martyrs of the attack on Parliament. With inputs from Vishal Dhaya, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Rajya Sabha was adjourned a sine die on Friday, but not before Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari expressed displeasure over disruptions by all sections of the House during the session. He also urged the members to demarcate between dissent, disruption and agitation.
The winter session of Rajya Sabha came to an end on Friday after the Chairman of the House and Vice President of India, Mohammad Hamid Ansari, delivered his concluding remarks. Ansari voiced concern over repeated disruptions and asserted that all sections of the House violated the rules about displaying placards and shouting slogans.
That I would not have to repeat what I said at the conclusion of the 221st session in December 2013. My hope stands belied. Regular and continuous disruptions characterized this session. The symbolism of dignified protest so essential for orderly conduct of parliamentary proceedings, was abandoned.
He also said that members were deprived of the opportunity to seek accountability of the executive through questions and discussions on matters of public interest.
All sections of the House need to introspect on the distinction between dissent, disruption, and agitation. The House functioned on the first day of the session and had a useful discussion on demonetization on November 16 and on November 24, which remained inconclusive.
The chairman also said that peace prevailed only when obituaries were read out. He said that the upper house functioned on the first day of the session and had a useful discussion on demonetization on 16 November and 24th November. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this, let's go across to my colleague Vishal. Vishal, now both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have been adjourned sine die. The winter session washout being a huge disappointment, with reports even suggesting that this will be the least productive session since 2010. And now Chairman Ansari also asking members to introspect.
Well, yes, indeed. This has been one of those, parliament sessions in which not much work has taken place. This is something which has been a cause of disappointment, not only for the government, which wanted to conduct a lot of business in this particular session, specifically, certain bills with respect to the GST. The government was also planning that they would go ahead and get a clearance from the parliament on that. And then the issue of demonetization, the issue of farmers' distress, and there were several other issues which were supposed to be raised by the opposition. But given the kind of stalemate and standoff which started on day one in both houses and which prevailed during the entire session till the last particular day, only one particular bill got the nod of both houses. That's the one which was cleared by the Lok Sabha also today with respect to disabled people.
Yes.
And in addition to that, there was an amendment to the Income Tax Act, which was cleared by the lower house. So clearly, as far as legislative business is concerned, it was completely a disappointment for the government. But as far as the other, business transactions, such as question hour, discussions, debates,
Yes.
it was a complete washout.
Absolutely.
And the kind of, the statements which were given by the chair in both houses, that's the chairman of Rajya Sabha and the speaker of Lok Sabha,
Yes.
it was clear that, both the presiding officers were very, very, very disappointed with the kind of, show which was displayed by both sides, as the ruling party as well as the opposition.
Indeed. Yes, indeed, Vishal, and you also mentioned about the GST bill. Well, the almost washout of the winter session also means that it is doubtful whether the GST will be able to honor the 1st of April deadline that was supposed to happen.
Well, yes, as of now, it seems really, really difficult for the government to meet that particular deadline. In fact, the GST Council is again meeting on 22nd, 23rd, and those 2 days, the GST Council will take a final call on certain issues which have to be reflected in that particular bill. And also, in addition to that, the very fact that the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs met immediately after the both houses were adjourned sine die, and also proposed the prorogation of both houses after this session. So that also sees the possibility, a speculation which was doing rounds, that the government might, recall the session, if at all, for a few days, a special session for GST to clear the GST bill. But that possibility has also been, now nipped. So clearly, it seems that these bills with respect to the GST will be taken up by the parliament, if at all, in the business in the budget session, and meeting that 1st of April 2017 deadline for the rollout of the GST regime is something which the government will find difficult.
Indeed. This is such a big disappointment, the winter session of Parliament. Now, this was a session that should have helped the passage of the bills related to the GST and also a healthy debate on demonetization, but that did not happen. What a waste it was. Thank you so much, Vishal, for joining us. Let's move on in the bulletin now. Well, Parliament on Friday passed the Disabilities Bill 2016. Well, the bill gives more rights to the differently abled. They have also been given 4% reservation in government jobs and educational institutions.
that the bill be passed. Those in favor may say aye. Those against may say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted and the bill as passed by Rajya Sabha is passed.
Parliament passed the Disabilities Bill on Friday by a voice vote. The bill stipulates up to 2-year jail term and a maximum fine of 5 lakh rupees for discriminating against differently abled persons. The bill also gives effect to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and related matters.
हमने इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था इसमें की है कि कोई भी दिव्यांग भारत सरकार या राज्य सरकार की योजना का लाभ लेने से वंचित नहीं होगा, ये मैं आश्वस्त करना चाहूँगा। जो पहले विकलांग जन सशक्तिकरण नाम था, अब हमारे विभाग का और हर प्रकार की जो संस्थाएं हमारे विभाग की है उनका दिव्यांगजन नाम कर दिया है, ये खुशी की बात है।
In the bill, disability has been defined based on an evolving and dynamic concept, and the types of disabilities have been increased from the existing 7 to 21. The centre will have the power to add more types of disabilities to it. The types of disabilities now include mental illness, autism spectrum disorder, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, and chronic neurological conditions. The bill also increases reservation for the differently abled in government jobs and educational institutions to 4%. Members from both sides supported the bill but suggested certain changes to improve the measure.
There are certain lacunas also. The amendment version also recognized 2 other disabilities not previously considered. I am really congratulating on that ground. Disability due to acid attacks and Parkinson disease.
मैं सर्वप्रथम तो मंत्री जी से ये कहूँगा कि इस बिल में जो डिसेबिलिटी वर्ड है, इस वर्ड को अगर स्पेशल एबिलिटी वर्ड में बदला जाए।
I want the minister to give personal attention. I sometimes talk to him on this mission, on the improving the services at the National Institute of Orthopedically Handicapped.
इस बिल जब मंजूर हो जाएगा तब सारे राज्य सरकार के माध्यम से जिला प्रशासन को भी आदेश देना चाहिए कि जो दिव्यांग जो विकलांग उनके क्षेत्र में उनको तुरंत सर्टिफिकेट देने की कोशिश होनी चाहिए, व्यवस्था होनी चाहिए।
I would suggest, ma'am, that all of us MPs should ensure that wherever in our constituencies we have people with disabilities, let us take a vow that in the next 2.5 years that we have before the next general election, let us try to bring them into the mainstream of social reforms.
When we have increased the number of disabilities, why did we reduce the reservation percentage as compared to the proposed bill of 2014? In 2014 bill, the recommendation was to have 5% reservation. But now it is being reduced to 4%. So I would, all the members, many of the members have moved amendments to this effect also.
The bill had originally been moved in 2014 in Rajya Sabha by then Union Minister Mallikarjun Kharge, and it was sent to the Standing Committee in September of that year. Of the 82 recommendations made by the Parliamentary Standing Committee, 59 were accepted by the government. With inputs from Ravindra Sharan and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And looking at the entire winter session, well, almost 92 hours were lost to disruptions in Lok Sabha during this session. The Speaker Sumitra Mahajan expressed hope that the next session would be disruption-free. However, the lower house of parliament did pass 2 bills in this entire session.
The issue of demonetization washed out almost the entire winter session. Lok Sabha was also adjourned sine die on Friday. During the 21 sittings of Lok Sabha, the House functioned only for 19 hours. 91 hours were lost to disruptions.
सत्र के दौरान संबंधित मंत्रियों द्वारा 1772 पत्र सभा पटल पर रखे गए। इस सत्र में व्यवधानों के पश्चात बाध्य होकर सभा स्थगित किए जाने के कारण 91 घंटे 59 मिनट का समय नष्ट हुआ, जो हम सभी के लिए, विशेषता मेरे लिए भी अच्छी बात नहीं है और इससे जनता में हमारी छवि धूमिल होती है। मुझे आशा है कि आगामी सत्रों में कोई व्यवधान नहीं होगा और हम सभी बेहतर ढंग से कार्य करेंगे।
The Speaker said that 9 bills were tabled during the session. The House passed the Disabilities Bill 2016 and the Taxation Law Second Amendment Bill 2016.
440 starred questions were listed, of which 50 were answered orally. 124 matters of public importance were raised, while members also raised 311 matters under Rule 377.
डिमोनेटाइजेशन ऑफ करेंसी नोट्स विषय पर नियम 193 के अधीन अल्पकालिक चर्चा सूचीबद्ध की गई थी, तथापि चर्चा आंशिक रूप से ही हो पाई। मंत्रियों द्वारा अन्य विभिन्न महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पर 47 वक्तव्य दिए गए और माननीय संसदीय कार्य मंत्री द्वारा सरकारी कार्य के बारे में 4 वक्तव्य दिए गए। सत्र के दौरान संबंधित मंत्रियों द्वारा 1772 पत्र सभा पटल पर रखे गए।
The government, on the other hand, blamed the opposition for the disruptions.
कहा आप जरूर चर्चा करिएगा और चर्चा में आपने आपका विषय रखिएगा, स्पष्टीकरण पूछना आपका हक बनता है, प्रश्न पूछना आपका हक बनता है, विश्लेषण करना आपका हक बनता है। आपके हर सवाल के लिए जवाब देने के लिए सरकार तैयार है, वो हमारा फर्ज है, ये भी हमने कह चुके थे।
Demonetization washed out question hour on Friday too, due to which the Speaker had to adjourn the House till 12. Ravindra Shioran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news now. Well, 5 senior-most judges will decide whether the notes ban is legal and whether it is a violation of fundamental rights. Well, the Supreme Court said this on Friday as it heard petitions challenging the ban on 500 and 1,000 rupee notes last month. The note ban has left millions of people facing a cash crunch and scrambling to banks as well as ATMs. Now, whether the court can interfere in economic policy will also be debated by the 5-judge Constitution bench. The court, however, said that the decision to extend the use of old notes at select places like hospitals and petrol pumps for a few more days will be taken by the government. The court also said that it is up to the government to review the withdrawal limit of 24,000 rupees per week from banks.
जो 8 नवंबर 2016 का जो नोटिफिकेशन है वो सही है नहीं है लीगल की तरफ से, वो सही है नहीं है, वो सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन उन्होंने उठाया। और दूसरा है, और जो भी ये नोटिफिकेशन है वेदर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इट इज़ परमिसेबल, जो भी आर्टिकल 14, 19, 21 इसके ऊपर इनफैक्ट जो भी वायलेट करता है नहीं करता है ये भी डिसाइड करेगा। और तीसरा, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स की वो जो भी रेस्ट्रिक्शंस है वो भी इनफैक्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगा सही है नहीं है।
Well, the BJP parliamentary party met in the national capital today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed party MLAs on the issue of cash crisis in the wake of demonetization. Well, the Prime Minister urged the nation to embrace the digital payment methods to ensure the corruption and black money was rooted out of the country. He also charged his Congress predecessors of not taking basic steps to control corruption.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday hit out at the opposition over their protest against the decision to ban notes of 500 and 1,000 rupee denominations. He was addressing the BJP parliamentary party that met in the morning.
ट्रेजरी बेंच भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कदम उठा रही है, काले धन के खिलाफ कदम उठा रही है और विपक्ष में ज्यादातर लोग बेईमानों का साथ देने के लिए इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं।
Modi reportedly told his MPs that unlike earlier when the opposition parties stalled the House against scams, Congress-led parties were now doing so against the government's steps to curb black money and corruption. The Prime Minister said the Congress had always put its interest over that of the country, while for the BJP, the nation's interests are supreme. Modi also pitched for a digital economy, appealing to the masses to adopt it as a way of life to rid society of corruption and black money.
8 नवंबर के बाद जो भी मुख्य धारा में आना चाहते हैं उनको अवसर मिलना चाहिए और ये डिजिटल व्यवस्था के कारण ये संभव होगा और देश का हर व्यक्ति जी ये अफसरशाही का जुल्म सहने को तैयार नहीं है। मैंने सरकार के सभी अधिकारियों से कह दिया है पुराना कोई पोस्टमार्टम नहीं करना है।
Attacking former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who has been unsparing in his criticism of demonetization, Modi said Dr. Singh advocated strong measures against corruption and black money, but did nothing during his rule of 10 years. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi today met the Prime Minister along with other party leaders at Parliament. Now, raising the plight of farmers, he met during his tour of Uttar Pradesh. Rahul Gandhi sought loan waivers for them. Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi's, interestingly, his meeting comes 2 days after he claimed to the media that he had detailed information about personal corruption by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and that he was not being allowed to speak in Parliament for this reason alone. Well, this remark was seen as significant in the light of the fact that the other opposition leaders were also present with him at that time. Meanwhile, in another development, opposition parties led by the Congress met President Pranab Mukherjee to apprise him of the common man's problems caused by the centre's demonetization move. They also complained that they were not being allowed to speak in Parliament. However, the Samajwadi Party, Mayawati-led BSP and the Left Party skipped this meeting.
हमने उनसे कहा कि हिंदुस्तान के किसानों ने उनको कर्ज माफ करने का कहा है के बारे में कहा है। हम चाहते हैं कि जिस प्रकार सरकार ने 1,40,00,000 करोड़ रुपए 1,40,000 करोड़ रुपए माफ किए, उसी प्रकार किसानों के लिए वो कर्जा माफ करें। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा, उन्होंने बात एक्सेप्ट की कि किसान की जो सिचुएशन है गंभीर है और कर्जा माफ के बारे में उन्होंने कुछ कहा नहीं, सुना।
हर बात को नकारी, असहमति दी, कोऑपरेशन नहीं दिया और जो लोकतंत्र के हर उसूल को उन्होंने तोड़ा और हम उन उसूलों को अपहेल्ड करने के लिए पूरी कोशिश की, लेकिन हमारे को ये सदन को उन्होंने ठीक ढंग से नहीं चला। ये पूरी जिम्मेदारी सरकार की है।
They better chose to speak outside the parliament, which according to us or which where we have our allegation. We wanted that debate be held in any rule, if not possible under no rule.
All right, let's get you some international news. Well, the Syrian government suspended evacuation of civilians and fighters from eastern Aleppo, accusing rebels of breaking the terms of the peace deal. Now, rebels had blocked the evacuation of civilians from two pro-government towns agreed to under the rule. Now, this Red Cross staff, Syrian Red Crescent workers, as well as representatives of the WHO, have been asked to leave eastern Aleppo. Meanwhile, buses carrying people from eastern Aleppo were also fired upon. At least 6,000 people have left the city since Thursday, but the United Nations says that at least 50,000 people are still trapped there. Now, the halting the evacuation process risks reigniting large-scale fighting that threatens the lives of civilians who are yet to depart from eastern Aleppo, that are still under rebel control and who have lived for months with dwindling food and water supplies and no functioning hospitals there. And in cricket, England dominated the proceedings on day one of the fifth and the final test in Chennai as they ended the day's play at 284 for 4. Now, Moeen Ali struck his fifth test ton as he helped the visitors to recover from a poor start along with Joe Root, who scored 88 runs. Both the batsmen were involved in a 146-run third wicket partnership after England slumped to 21 for 2. Earlier, Ishant Sharma, who made a comeback to the test last month, Centurion Keaton Jennings early. He took his wicket. Ravindra Jadeja then picked up a wicket of England captain Alistair Cook before removing Root and Bairstow as well, as he finished up with 3 wickets. India have already won this test series, having won the last 3 matches after drawing the first game. Well, that's all in this edition of News at 6. Thanks for watching.